big worry is, as the American people have seen through the Democrats' lawfare, as they've seen through all of this, these numerous attacks on President Trump, how it's not affected his poll numbers or his popularity. In fact, having just the opposite impact. And our worry was that this eventuality might come around. And here it is. The Babylon Bee is lampooning Democrats right now, saying that the same party that has been calling Trump Hitler for the last 8 years is astonished that somebody would try to assassinate him. And it's a bit of a stinging satire for a moment like this. And I think Democrats have got to be very careful. Here we are, Lydia, coming up on an hour. Where's Joe Biden? Where's the statement from the White House? Where are prominent Democrats saying this is not what needs to happen in this country and condemning this type of violence in our politics? It is a very perilous situation for the Democrat Party and its legitimacy at this point, the longer they wait.
It is incredible that we have yet to hear from Biden, from Kamala Harris, and they have been briefed on the situation and still nothing from them. Chuck Schumer saying it's a horrifying situation. Hakeem Jeffries also coming out and condemning the violence, among many, many others. Speaker Mike Johnson tweeting, praying for President Trump. Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about pray for everyone involved. But again, if you're just tuning in, President Trump will be okay.
Hey everybody, I don't have anything planned to talk about, but
Trump Jr. also putting out a tweet of his father bloodied with his fist up in the air. He'll never stop fighting to save
this is
America.
big to me. And I'm trying to get maybe Ace to join, and if anybody wants to join, maybe I can send a link or something. But I really do feel this is a major
tell us what is going through your
change
mind right now
in the zeitgeist.
What's sad, I hate to say this, we knew this was going to come to this.
Lydia, the rhetoric is an issue, but right now I'm just trying to come to terms with.
Apparently, some people were killed, at least one.
Relief that Trump seems
it was small gunfire. Maybe. No one knows for sure.
From the Secret Service. And do me a favor, the control room, we've got a serious echo here, if you don't mind.
Half an inch of being killed.
But I was watching the speech. I had turned away, so I didn't see it just as it happened. But I saw them rush on the stage. But you know, he had turned his head, and it hit like this. What if his head had been straight ahead? Boom! Like he had just. It was like the hand. You know, he was protected. But anyway, there's a guy that I follow, Martin Armstrong, and I read this from him the other day. Actually, it might have been yesterday. And this is what he said. He said, I cannot answer whether or not Joe Biden's, I'm just reading YouTube. I'm not going to say the word. Joe Biden's demise will be the catalyst for the September 2024 panic cycle our computers have been forecasting for decades. The event in September will mark a global shift, perhaps, and more likely a war. A few readers have written in to question whether this event could end up being the demise of the Democratic nominee. After all, I'm using a different word. I don't want to get, you know, we live in the people that run YouTube tell you that if Trump were elected, you're going to lose democracy. Yeah, the way they run YouTube, you don't have free speech. You don't have free speech. It's run by overly educated people who believe they know the truth. Anyway, a few readers have written into question. After all, media outlets are in overdrive to push the Parkinson's narrative, and one is led to believe that his condition is worsening by the day. Even the most liberal of commentators are suddenly calling for Biden to step down, with new reports released each day detailing Biden's declining mind. The sympathy would certainly shift to the left in the event of the demise of our nation's president. Kamala Harris would take over for Joe Biden as president. The Democrats do not want Kamala as their front runner or the face of the nation. Joe Biden's team is not, anyway, it goes on and on. Just to skip down to the bottom and get off of Biden, it is impossible to determine the catalyst event for specific turning points or dates on his computer projections. I've been proven wrong countless times when attempting to forecast based on my own personal opinion rather than the clear-cut method provided by the models. Could Joe Biden's demise near September be the event? Perhaps. Personally, this is this gentleman, I believe we are looking at something more along the lines of escalating warfare come September. The Democratic primaries ended on the 8th of June. Democrats have until the 19th, 22nd of August to determine their formal nominee. Anyway, he goes on about that. My point to you to bring this up, this could be the event. This could be the event that changes everything. And that's why I focused on that. I was watching it. He caught his ear. And then I thought, well, maybe he heard it when he went down and hit something. But then you see it. And man, it's sheer luck. It just slightly, I guess that would be to the left, he'd be immobilized. And let me see what you guys are saying. I'm not going to have.
You hear the chants of USA breaking out.
I'm not going to have much tolerance for the
earlier today in
the,
Western Pennsylvania at a Trump rally.
Skyrocketed. And then,
the little,
as we all saw, Joe Biden, the con that the left wing has been running on this country was exposed on debate night. On your screen,
Ham says, worry about tennis.
President Trump stopping his Secret Service details
Hey,
from taking
man.
him off the stage, whisking him off the stage, which of
You
course
were number
is their
one.
instinct to do. Stopping them,
Hey, Joe.
saying, let me
Hey,
tell
Paul.
the folks I'm okay. And he did. Raising his hand defiantly.
I think this
those
changes everything.
Individuals, or this individual, I should say, who tried to remove him from.
Oh, Arca. Arca is saying stock market crash. I don't agree with that. But you got to listen to Arca. I don't know if he's going to go live. I don't agree that we're going to have a stock market crash. But I do think I was reading today. I'll put it on. Do you guys know this? If you just Google capital gains tax 2025, I found it the other day. Here, Forbes. I'll go to Forbes. Um, well, that's a long article. Let me see if I can find it a different way. Um, okay, here. All right, here. The Biden administration is proposing capital gains tax of 44.6%. 44.6%. I don't think having Trump, okay, how could the capital gains tax rate change in 2025? For high income taxpayers, the long term capital gains tax could nearly double to 39.6%. Long term capital gains tax, 39.6%. You add your state, your city, your local. Yeah, I don't. Hey, Darren. Yeah, Wickedums. I think that's what I'd like everybody. This is ineffective because you guys can't really talk, but maybe type and I can read it. I think we have to redouble our efforts to fight all of this. And in our own ways, we've been trying to do that in the marketplaces. It's the same kind of force. It's an ill wind. But talk a little bit. We don't have to, we can talk about whatever you think about. Trump will be a demigod now. I don't think he'll try to be a demigod. I think he will. I mean, he jumped right up and he had blood streaking down, puts his hand up. I do think people will flock to him. It's going to be important who he picks as his vice president. I continue to think Byron Donalds would be a great choice, or Tulsi Gabbard. Those are my two favorite choices. These other politicians, he might as well just skip it. There's people saying he should pick the governor of Virginia. I don't know about that. That's right. The Grand Rising. Hey, Pete. Oh, my computer is not. Time to take it back. Yeah, I agree. What's this? It was a BB gun? Well, how do you know that? I haven't. Let me look. Let me find out. Trump is shot in the side of the head and is left with blood strewn across his face in horrifying assassination attempt. Trump is safe and a member of the crowd believed to be dead after at least 8 shots fired at former president's rally. Moment Secret Service. What I saw was really strange is Trump's a really big man. And this short woman, although I'm not claiming any height advantages myself, but she's in there. There's no way she's doing anything good. The 3 men that are tall surrounding him, I don't know. I think she should have moved out of the way. I'm just not sure she helped. Because he's got to weigh 300 pounds. Yeah, take back our country. This is crazy. It is crazy. And it makes your heart palpitate a little bit. You know, Eunice, you look young in that greatest little kid. Greatest little kid. But I'm old enough to remember when the Kennedys were eliminated, Martin Luther King. I remember I I wasn't in the country. I was overseas, but I paid attention because this city erupted into riots. Um, I wasn't as aware of Malcolm X back then, but the Kennedys and Martin Luther King. Then it happened to Governor Wallace. I remember Squeaky Fromm, her interaction with President Ford. I'm using words in lieu of, because we're on a free speech. We're here to let democracy live in the light, because according to the Washington Post, democracy dies in darkness. Well, YouTube is quite Soviet in its ability to control what is said. Same with Twitter and the rest of them. And then, right up here. Well, now I'm further away where I used to live. Just blocks from where I used to live is where Hinckley said hello to Ronald Reagan. And I don't think you have ever experienced anything like this. But I'm telling you, if you watch this, Eunice, he goes like this. If that bullet had just been a millisecond over, be all over with. I think the election's over now, and I think it's going to be a landslide. I don't even think cheating will help. They will try to cheat again, but it won't help. If for some reason they're able to convince us that Joe Biden is the single most popular presidential candidate in history, and that he actually got 81 million votes last time, and he can do it again, I think our country will break apart. All of this is by way of saying what we've been trying to do here is make some money so that we can become our own independent financial units. This is your alert to speed it up, speed up your efforts. That's right, Jeff. We have to pray. We have to pray. And everybody prays differently, so I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but we have to pray. I don't think Ham's coming on. I mean, he's welcome to, but I don't think he's coming on. No. I can ask him to, but you're going to hear about Finger. If you want to talk about Finger, he can come on. Trump won't be president again. Take that to the bank. Well, I don't agree with you. I don't think the establishment and the Democratic Party want to let him be president again. So I agree with you that prior to this night, regardless of how many people vote, whatever the numbers are, the allowing migrants to vote without U.S. citizenship, having drop boxes without locks or cameras or any human supervision, the rumors of additional bird flu type things coming across expanding the hours to vote from a day to 30, 40 days, allowing mail-in ballots. Yeah, I think you're right that um, the powers that be were going to work overtime to make sure that this election, middle of the night, went for Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. And they're going to plan enough news stories in the media you still follow, apparently, to say that Biden's gaining in the Rust Belt states. People hate Trump. Trump's Hitler. Trump is Mussolini, which is all crap. But I would have agreed with you. Now, I don't think people will believe it. And to the extent that the blue states have enough people who are still going to overwhelmingly support a guy that belongs in a home, and that the red states have been, cities particularly, have been, the population has been swelled by migrants. Reportedly 19 million have come in who will vote for who they think brought them in, Kamala and Biden. I would agree with you that it would have been hard for Trump to be elected. Let me be clear. It doesn't matter. It's who counts the vote. It doesn't matter who's elected. But now I don't see that. I think this has changed everything. And you're going to see an overwhelming surge of support for Trump. And I would go so far to say, if you're right, DBMMMMM, our country falls apart. If you're right. Hey, Mark, Trump lives, thank God. I know. It would have been terrible. Thank you, Rob the pilot. Prayers for Trump. Yeah. They came out, the Secret Service came out and said that he's A-okay. But I was worried that it hit, there's an artery right there. Ugh. Yeah, the open rallies. I was listening to a couple of the women on right side broadcast, I think it was. No, it was, anyway, I was moving around. It was a different woman. And she was saying, I think it was she was saying that it might have been it was a guy that was saying it. It was a guy on Newsmax saying it was a small caliber, like a 22. Didn't sound that way to me. Oh, God. The Secret Service took way too long. And I don't want to cause a sexism argument, but that woman should have stepped out and let the football players manhandle the president. She couldn't do anything. Except of course, I'm looking at it right now. I'll see if I can show it to you. He was doing his own pushing back, so it's probably not her fault. The shooter is dead, and an audience member killed in a bloodbath saw ex-president hit in the side of the head. The shooter is down. I'm trying to, oh, what's this? Yeah, I can't show you this little snippet, but it's on all the news stations. I agree with you. He took way too long, the Secret Service. But then I'd see him just standing there. But the three men behind him are as tall as he is, so any projectile would have to go through them. You can't say that about where the woman was standing. It's a clean view of his head. Yeah, Rob, it's terrible. Yeah, peace, love, and happiness. We did dodge a bullet. As much as people want to hate Trump and believe for some reason that he's Hitler, remember Joe Biden wrote the crime bill that destroyed generations of families and put young men in prison for what his son did. And those young men were almost all of them were men of color, at least not as pale-faced as I am. Most of them, almost all of them. That was Joe Biden. That wasn't Donald Trump. So, save me the argument that he's somehow racist or Hitler. His daughter is Jewish. Hi, Gronk. You gotta love Gronk. So Gronk, do you want this or this? Or both? You can have both. It grazed his head. So, and if you see, he had just turned his head. I think it took the top of his ear off. Oh, God bless him. There's a man in the background who very alertly is trying to look and see where the shots came from. Others dove. Nothing has changed. The U.S. has no serious candidate. Well, why don't you run, DBMM? Trump just isn't it. Look, that's not why I'm on here, is to tear down Trump. This is a courageous man who just got shot, and I'm not here. I mean, you're welcome to your opinion, and maybe you feel like it's a tragedy that things have turned out the way they are. But we have a system where people run for president, and I just don't agree with you. I think the man who stands for the working class, who stands for the middle class, who stands for peace, who stands for ending endless wars, who stands for bringing factories and jobs back to the United States, who stands for making the United States, as he puts it, strong again. There is a candidate, and I think it's Donald Trump. But you can complain and say we don't have a serious candidate. Are you kidding me, Vin Man? I'm not going to read it out for censorship reasons, but that's unbelievable. Well, taking back the country has to be acknowledging that there's a lot of people in the country who feel very strongly that Trump and Republicans are racist, misogynist, anti-gay, anti-minorities. I personally don't think that's true about Trump, but I think one thing to take the country back together, back again, would be to try to keep the country together by listening to both sides, understanding the others. We're far more similar. The left wants freedom, women's freedom over their body, freedom to behave any way you want to, freedom. Well, that's all the right wants. We're a free country, free to speak, free to earn a living the way we want. We're a free country. So let's, instead of listening to Hillary Clinton, who lost election fair and square, but instead blamed it on the Russians, blamed it on Trump, and filled the country with vitriol because she lost. Let's not focus on her vitriol. Let's focus more on working together and being together. And I actually see that as what Trump would do if he gets elected. Oh, it's Antifa? They'll blame it on the J6 crowd. Well, you know, the Soros and the rest of those guys must be concerned. This war in the Ukraine is money, 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 money. It really is. And it's going to end if Trump gets into office. But I know many people think it's a good thing to be at war with Russia.
Mining Arm is going to a rally, and then there's always some idiot like Oswald and Oswald Shaw Cannon. That changed everything in our country. So what I say is, take them on, hang 'em.
President Trump was watching RSBN on Trump Force One on his way in. Very well could be watching this when we post it. Anything you want to say to him in his recovery effort?
Just hang in there, buddy. God bless you. Hang in there. Don't give up. This is why we need you. This is why we need you.
Hang in there, President Trump. Hang in there.
And we got to get tough on crowd.
I'm so sorry that happened to you. They're so evil. They're just evil. We gotta stop them, Trump.
You're heartbroken right now. Tears coming down.
I think also, Vanessa, that this stuff about just letting the probation and everybody getting on, you commit a crime and you have to be put, let out because you can't have bail.
That's pretty regular after, a president got shot in broad daylight way back when. I'm not buying this. I am literally not buying this at all.
She got married, Donna.
Okay, we have an interview right now that's rolling in, guys. We're going to bring in an interview with somebody
got
who
married.
apparently.
I used to watch her when she had 10 people
watching
watching
Just to
her.
remind you, 2 people got shot. We learned, and
Two
this information
people.
could develop later, that one of them has lost their lives
Hmm.
tragically. Another person is apparently in very serious condition, and this person helped one of these
She
individuals.
married a
Let's
billionaire.
cut to this interview.
That's exactly where I heard him come from.
What did you see, sir?
I heard the shots. I thought it was firecrackers to begin with. Somebody over there was screaming, he's been shot, he's been shot. So I made my way over. I said, I'm an emergency department physician. Let me help you. The guy had spun around and was jammed between the benches. He had a headshot here. There was lots of blood, and he had brain matter there. And so I got him. There's a helicopter coming in to get him. So I got people there really helpful. I got
Was there only one person shot that you saw?
Then I did CPR, did chest compressions, as well as I breathed for him.
One person.
I was the only one who did that.
I have chills right now looking at that because do you know what I want to say about that? I don't know what that man's name is. This, while the media is lying to you, telling you that the people who support Trump are just a bunch of racists, right? That is the average Trump supporter that you just saw. A person heroic enough to jump in, not knowing if his life is safe, after seeing somebody who was shot, to jump in and to provide assistance. Look at that man with blood all over him, trying to save somebody's life at risk to his own.
That's Candace. That's Candace. I agree with Candace. The silence is deafening from the Biden camp. How about no one says, where's Hillary? Candy Morton agrees that Gronk deserves a piece of bacon. I know. Hey, kiddies, never know. We win now. I hope so. I'd like to see the financial markets change so that people can make money rather than always being stripped of their investments. His Secret Service was incompetent. When I look at the picture, there were three big men standing from where it looks like the bullet came from, putting their hands up. But I don't want to pick on her, but this comparatively not tall woman is stretching her body there, and it leaves a wide open. Anyway, I think the Secret Service should rethink having diminutive, comparatively small agents protecting such a tall, large guy. Bitcoin spiked. I don't, it's interesting, Rob. I actually think this is going to cause, unfortunately for me, because I don't have the positions I want. I think this is going to start to cause gold and silver and platinum to take the lead, not Bitcoin.
As you just saw, shot in the head. I'm not sure of that person's condition. We have heard that one of them has died, and we are just trying to see what the minute-to-minute information is that is happening here. It is just a tremendous day right now. It is tremendous for a lot of reasons. We're just going to try to see.
That's a real thought there, Tom. I'm not going to repeat it because I don't think I should. Slow, yeah. They were probably a little shocked. Personally, I don't think this will change a dang thing. Well, I'm not mad. My view about things changing isn't just the election. It's our country. It's going to be the sense that people have about how safe it is, whether they can believe what they see. I think it can change markets. But you're right. Maybe I'm overreacting. And it may be we dodged a bullet. But the world changed in 1964. Was that the year, or was it 63? Yeah, November 63. Trump is injured in horror shooting and left with blood strewn across his face in terrifying assassination attempt as the former president's team and family speak out. Shooter is dead and audience member killed. Blake Marnell was in the center of the front row, 10 yards away from the president, when he heard what he thought were firecrackers at the back of the crowd. His close-up eyewitness account reveals the terror, anger, and then finally relief, which coursed through the Pennsylvania crowd as a gunman tried to assassinate the 45th president of the United States. I instinctively looked to the left. The next time I turned back to look at the president, he was being taken to the ground by the Secret Service agents. As he watched agents use their bodies to shield Trump, he could hear more gunshots targeted at the shooter. He crouched to protect himself. As he watched, Trump got to his feet. He could see the blood trickling from a point just above his right ear. He stood on the corner of the stage and put his fist up in the air and shook it a few times, said Marnell, his voice shaking with adrenaline. It was a very defiant gesture. And when I saw that, I was really hopeful that he'd be okay. I saw it live too. 8 seconds. Hey, Roger. Oh, we'll see if the live stream helps. Oof, oof, oof. Oof. We got to stop this. We've got to stop demonizing. Yeah, Tom, that's thinking. You're thinking. I just don't want to read it out loud. Yeah, I think he is. I really do think it'll change everything about how he's viewed, about how America's viewed. It's a catalyst for change. And even though I think the market is still headed much, much higher, it renews my call to each of you to look to getting your financial house protected so that you can stand through the storm going on around you. You can stand alone and survive and come out the other end as a independent financial unit. Rob, 66%. You got to pay for all this endless war. Yeah, I think you're right, Dwight. People are going to pay attention. They caught the shooter, a guy with a YouTube channel. Well, Lena, I guess you're not a guy, but if you start a channel, I'll watch you. I mean, assuming it's discussion and content, and then it won't be a guy. But I don't know. I don't know if that's a dig at me or not, or maybe I don't know how they would know he has a YouTube channel that quickly. So I can only assume you're trying to make a dig at me. Don't worry, don't worry. I mean, it's still an open discussion. I just if there's one day to cut the guy a little slack, I would think it would be today. And by the way, I think most of the right, if you call it the right's reaction to the debate and the press conference is a little bit unfair to Biden, not because it's not accurate, but Biden doesn't, he belongs in a home. He does not belong on stage. It really is abusive toward Biden to tell him that he still has it. So I feel a little sorry for Biden, as much as hard as that is to believe. Gunman is shot dead by Secret Service, and spectator dead as bullets fly at Trump rally and leave former president with huge gash above his ear. It looks like it is his ear, and blood strewn across his face in horrifying assassination attempt. Biden breaks his silence. Let's see what he says. Vice President Kamala Harris is very brave. No, that's not what he said. Joe Biden put out a statement. He's pretty quick. He can type up a statement quicker than anybody. Quote, I have been briefed on the shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania. I'm grateful to hear he's safe and doing well. I'm praying for him and his family and for all those who were at the rally. As we await further information, Jill and I are grateful to the Secret Service for getting him to safety. There is no place for this kind of violence in America. We must unite as one nation to condemn it. He's certainly a statesman. Barack Obama leads the world in condemnation of Donald Trump assassination attempt after he is shot at a campaign rally, as Obama wishes him a speedy recovery. Ex-president fist pumps and yells, fight, 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 while terrified crowd yells back, USA. But don't worry, DBM, don't worry.
Say that, can't look at you and calm you and say, yes, obviously,
She gets
this
a
is
lot of
insane.
donations.
Obviously, we are getting information up to the minute, but at the moment, it looks like an assassination attempt. He can't even do that. There is no power behind him. There's just a deep state behind him, concerned because, oh my gosh, we didn't have 2 weeks to prepare.
All right, we'll listen to
We've got
Fox
Pennsylvania Senate
Noise.
candidate David McCormick.
Fox
He
Noise,
knows what
terrible.
it's like to be in the middle of a heated campaign. But David, I understand you were there. What more can you tell us from your vantage point? And do you know if anybody else was potentially injured?
Yes. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm still at the rally. It's all very chaotic. But I was in the front row, and President Trump had just announced me and had suggested I come up and invited me to come up on the stage. And then he said, no, he'll have him come up in a minute or two. And then there were a number of shots, and the crowd just sort of, went to the ground, and the Secret Service came and, very quickly tackled the president. But there were 7 or 8 shots, and it was hard to tell whether they came from one direction or from 2 different weapons. It wasn't clear. At least I couldn't tell. And then sadly, someone behind me up in the bleachers was definitely wounded. And there was a lot of blood, and, the police came in and helped carry that person out of the stand so they could get the care they needed. I'm not sure if others were injured or not. It was all, as you might imagine, very chaotic. but it was a very scary moment, obviously, because our president and innocent bystanders were under siege.
Yeah, sir, can you tell us how many people had gathered there today? It looked like quite the turnout. And also, can you just take us through what you saw from your perspective? Did it come from your left side or your right side, or where was it in relation to where you were located?
Yeah, I don't, it was an enormous crowd.
This guy's good too. He doesn't get the donations Candace gets.
Office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened. Let me get my shoes. I got you. Let me get my shoes. Hold on. You're ready. So we got to move to the class. What's up?
It's really something. It is really something. Yeah, it could have been 22. I don't know guns, but I was just wondering, Brian, that's terrible. But if it had been bigger caliber, wouldn't it have been worse? I don't know. He grabbed his ear before he went down, so he was hit before. Yeah, I don't know that it's going to be, as you put it, BS right now. It's probably a lot of rumors, but by the time CNN comes out with a story, I'm probably not going to believe it. But we'll see.
Amazing. And then I'm going to show you a clip of the guy who witnessed the entire thing and informed the Secret Service and was pointing to them about the guy. And you can, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle, and you can just hear in his voice that he does not believe that they were not in on it. Like he believes, you can hear it in his voice, that there's no way, based on what he saw, the Secret Service and the other agencies were not aware that this man was sitting on the roof with a rifle. So I don't want to put words in his mouth. Let's first show this clip of Donald Trump when the shots first rang out.
You see something that said, take a look at what happened.
I mean, I'm counting 8 to 10 shots there. And then here's
Well,
another
some
clip
of it
of
was
the Secret
Secret
Service that are
Service.
running him off stage immediately following this. And then he just stops and realizes, hey, wait a minute, this is a moment. And I need America to know that it's going to be okay. Take a look. That right there. That is what you want. Trump gave more in that motion than Biden gave in the confines of his podium, perfectly safe. Trump assured the nation more in that one moment that things would be okay than Biden did after having been briefed, perfectly safe, being ushered out onto a podium. These are your options, guys. These are your options this November, okay? Because it can only be one person that's going to lead this nation. Again, if you're just joining, this is without question the most important interview. Again, we got this from BBC, a guy who witnessed the shooter scaling the roof and immediately alerted, pointed, said, hey, look, this guy's got a gun. Listen to this man's voice.
I wonder if it was
Listen to the
Harkin's
tenor, the
time.
tone of what he is saying here, and then ask yourself if you believe that this wasn't an inside job. Take a listen.
That's someone who was here. You weren't inside the event, but you were just asked to tell us what you thought and what. So we had a party here all day. You can see behind us the Brickles Farming Greenhouse here. We had a party, and we all decided, hey, when we hear Trump up there, we're going to walk up through the field, stand by the trees out there under the shade, and watch and listen to the rally. Right? We couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up. And probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, But we noticed a guy crawling, they're crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof. And he had a gun, right? He had a rifle. You can clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. Police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him up the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out. So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof? 100%. 100%. And he was up there for a couple of minutes. He was up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service?
We were telling the police. We were pointing at them for the Secret Service. We were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time we were standing by that tree.
Did they see
binoculars?
Did they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? I mean, this is not a big place.
Did you see, obviously everyone, when the shooting started, everyone was very panicked. Did you see what happened to him at all?
Oh yeah, they blew his head off.
Okay, sorry.
Secret Service blew his head off.
Okay, just be checking because we don't even find out who's watching, but you're pretty sure they shot the guy?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yep.
You saw that happen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And did you see them go up to him afterwards, or?
They crawled up on the roof. They had their guns pointed at him, make sure he was dead. He was dead, and that was it. It was over.
It's incredibly shocking.
The guy was on the roof right there. You can see the white roof.
Donald's going to speak
Right
soon. Donald Trump.
No, other than he was in muted colors, tan type clothing. We saw the rifle flinging around as he was trying to crawl. I mean, we saw the rifle, 100%.
Do you know about guns? Do you know what kind of weapon it was?
Oh, absolutely know about guns, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a rifle of some sort. I wouldn't know, I wasn't close enough to read the label on it, but it was a rifle of some sort. Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you process what you've just seen?
I don't know what to say, man. I'll tell you is, if I walked up close to there with anything that Secret Service considered
a problem, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you right now. But I don't know why a guy who we're standing there pointing out to police and Secret Service is crawling up the roof. Yes, we're right there by that tree. We were outside the security permit. But my question is, there's only a few buildings around here. Why is Secret Service not in every building here?
There's a whole bunch of questions I think that are going to come.
There's a whole bunch of questions.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, he is asking the questions that all of us are asking, right? Because again, they are trying to convince us that common sense is a conspiracy. I don't even like the way that journalist is questioning him. Oh, be careful of what you say. We don't know who's watching. What do you mean we don't know who's watching? Okay. We're not going to mince our words anymore. Donald Trump, there was an assassination attempt on his life. And the journalist is, we don't know who's watching. So don't say they blew his head off. Be careful here. We can live in a country where they're mutilating children, but be careful. We don't want to.
All right, let's. She can be provocative. I like her very much. 0.17 Hornet. I don't know what that is. NESARA Act. I'm not sure what that is. I'll keep my eyes open for it. Both belong in homes. Neither is a good choice. This stinks of false flags. Maybe. But don't, Bob, it sounds like you don't much like Trump. Don't let that cloud your view of what just happened. It's not good for this country. What just happened is not good. I know you don't like Trump. And I don't think Trump belongs in a home. But I do think that Biden does, or at least with nursing care. There is no equivalency there on that. It's right in front of your eyes. So if you dislike Trump, you've got to somehow make it equivalent. It just isn't. That's not the facts. Facts are that Joe Biden has Parkinson's, it looks like. He's in advanced stages of that disease. His brain is completely shot. It's not always shot, but in terms of being a president of the United States, he couldn't be a teller at a bank. He couldn't be an Amazon driver. He couldn't be a cashier at Walmart. And you're going to say both of them belong in a home? I don't know. I think the Democrats didn't have an open primary. When they had somebody that could have beaten Trump, Bernie Sanders, the party, Barack Obama organized the party for everyone to pull back. Representative Clyburn moved the South Carolina primary ahead of the others on the calendar because Biden had lost in New Hampshire, and I believe he had lost in Iowa. But they moved South Carolina right up ahead, and Clyburn said, just make sure that a black woman is vice president and you nominate a black woman on the Supreme Court. Hey, Martin Luther King would have been happy of that. Judge people by the color of their skin and their gender. Isn't that what Martin Luther King said? I think that's right. Judge people by the color of their skin and by their gender. That's what Representative Clyburn asked Biden to do. And Biden did that. But there was, and then the Democratic machine made sure a man who could get 5 or 6 Jeeps in a parking lot honking their horns got the most votes in the history of the United States. If you don't see that there's something wrong with that, it's just that your dislike of Trump blinds you. I'm not asking you to like Trump. I am asking you to treasure our electoral system, our elections. They should be fair. Everyone should have the right to vote. We should expect a reckoning that's honest, and we should have recounts if we want them. But because you hate Trump, you overlook things, maybe, I don't know you, but you overlook things that are a threat, to what makes our country so special. Project 205 is real.
A bunch of Chinese men across the border. I showed the footage on this show, right? They were not coming with families. They were dressed in all black. They looked very sleek. They were coming across the border. It was Chinese and Kazakhstan, okay? Nationals coming across the border in an operation. And I covered it on the show, on my show, actually. And I said, well, what we can anticipate is what I believe is going to be a fall.
They're going to allow migrants to vote. No ID, and they're even issuing Social Security numbers. This is an attempt to change the electoral map for generations. But hey, if you hate Trump, you love it. You love it. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people out there that hate Trump. Well, I personally think Trump is a fine candidate, and I'm a Democrat. But the Democratic Party didn't allow a primary. At least the Republicans had a primary. And if you didn't notice, overwhelmingly, Trump was selected by the voters in the primaries. It's hard to accept when you hate Trump, because when you see Trump, you hate him. He's fat. He's mean. He does tweets. He's obviously a racist. He rapes women. But then you block out of your head what Tara Reid said about Joe Biden. What he did to what Joe Biden did to her. She lives in the Soviet Union now.
Look more into the moon landing. Look more into the origins of NASA.
How did Joe Biden become worth $60 million, $80 million?
We don't care.
And he's still in office.
And if this channel ever goes away,
doesn't bother you though, because you hate Trump. What matters to me is we have a fair system, and we have an honest system, and it's a level playing field. And I can dislike a candidate, but that doesn't blind me to the harm that's being done to the infrastructure of our political system. But anyway, some people see it differently.
And so you're probably wondering, what do we do from here? The answer is, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I'm going to ask you guys to do a simple thing.
What's that? Donate?
Saying the truth. Okay? Start supporting the truth. Stop.
And the Make America Great Again movement.
Exactly right. Pastor Mark Burns joining us live right now via telephone, as you can see here. Pastor Mark Burns, we've interviewed him before. We have more interviews with him coming.
Novak has already made a ton of history in this sport. If he
right, that's for me for later.
Tomorrow, Jim,
that's for me.
51 years.
I don't like Megyn Kelly.
It's
I don't
just
like her.
Remarkable. I don't even know if Trump knew he'd been hit in the head.
He
was shot in the head, grazed, yes, but Trump took a bullet today. And I'm sure he's just coming to terms with that right now. I mean, even Donald Trump hasn't had that happen to him in his past. And a part of me wants to see him do something extraordinary, like show up at the UFC event tonight.
Oh, God.
I see something that said, take a look at what happened.
People have been saying for a while now that it was likely that there would be an attempt on Donald Trump's life. You know the kind of people that have been saying it, and you know the type of media that have been discussing the possibility. Perhaps in the immediate aftermath, what we can say is that there's a media environment of hysteria and hatred generated.
I don't like that
at
guy.
that point and was obviously apprehensive. But when I saw him stand up, when I saw him shake his fist in defiance, I was very, very hopeful at that time that he was going to be okay.
That was an amazing moment, and your vantage point. Well, listen, Blake, we appreciate it very much. We may check back with you. Don't go far. I think we have Bob Brooks, who's still at the venue. He was an eyewitness as well.
Sure was. Bob, what's the latest?
Yeah, Katrina, Greg, State Police, Pennsylvania State Police, we just landed here at the grounds. What conflicting reports right now of were there multiple shooters? Was somebody on the roof? What he said is what it sounded like to me. So I was standing right in front of the president. I was on the press high risers. We're 75 yards away from him. He starts to speak, as we all know, he's barely into the speech at all. He's really just getting warmed up. And I was sitting, we had a chair.
Let's turn that down. I didn't know if you retract a message, I can still see it. When I get a new computer, I'm going to get a different service and I'll be able to do better. And maybe I'll be better just because I don't have to read everything. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. 22. I guess that's because most people, a lot of people have 22 caliber guns. Let me see if I can go here. Let me see if I can go here.
Just pumped him right back. I was screaming, yeah, USA! Like it was crazy. It was a moment that'll live on in history. Those images will live on in history books for the rest of our lives. It's part of our history now. An assassination attempt on President Trump, and then they whisked him away. I started getting texts from people. There was blood on his face. To everyone's points tonight. Somewhere on his body or whatnot. Your guess was as good as mine at that point. But then off to the right grandstand, they continue to be on top of somebody over there. And then immediately after, once it was, I guess neutralized. Nobody really knew at that point. They immediately came in with crime scene tape. They roped off that area. I have a picture of it on my phone. I can show us here once we get a better signal. I can send it out. And then the Secret Service came in and they said, y'all got to go. But it was so crazy, guys. It happened so quick.
ground, kind of surrounded.
Yeah.
It seems to be taken from the ground. You can see, gosh, his wounded ear.
Ear there.
This is the picture.
I believe that's from
This is, I mean, in the line of fire, under fire, in the heat of combat, in a way. I am so impressed by the Secret Service and, of course, by President Trump.
I guess
The
that's
sign of
not
victory
giving you
and
double.
defiance and the crowd, the attendees. There wasn't mass panic. There wasn't pandemonium. And there were some heroes in the mix. A physician who was providing CPR to an individual who was shot. There's somebody else.
All right, I might leave that off. My computer there is freezing, so I'm trying this one. I don't know if it's totally confusing everything, but that way I can keep talking even if that freezes. The shooter was Antifa. Wow, with a YouTube channel. I wonder how they figured that out so quickly. Does anyone even turn to any of the legacy? It says Mike is muted. I think you can hear me. Does anyone even turn to any of the legacy media sites when something like this happens? Or does everyone just go immediately to X? I don't go to X. I don't go to X. Yeah, I don't go to X. Sounds like something Putin would do in a deep psyop. Well, I guess there's just no way to convince people that yeah, okay, let's just blame it on Putin. Let's just blame it. It's Putin. Jay, I'm not going to fight you. It's Putin. Putin must have done this. It's Russia, Russia, Russia. Which government agency is responsible? I don't know, but can you say banks? Oh, I know, Mark. Joy Reid. She's not much of a joy. Tell you that. Tell you that one. She ain't much of a joy. Joy Reid. Now this computer isn't freezing, so. Ooh, the video of the attendee that got shot. I wonder if no, I guess that wouldn't work. I was just seeing if they're thinking, is there a way I could show videos on here? I guess it wouldn't work. Trump is even more defiant. Yeah. A bunch of hags. Bunch of hags. That reminds me of when Norm Macdonald was on The View. That's why I'm laughing. That's how he described it. I liked that movie, The Ghost. I liked the song, and I liked the young version of Demi Moore. Demi Moore, galloping through the night. Demi Moore, galloping through the night. She steals from the rich, gives to the poor. Demi Moore. What did Maxine Waters? Oh yeah, back when I know you're right. They call Trump president? Weird, he's not. What do you call President Carter? What do you call President Obama? What do you call President Bush? I guess it's weird. All right. Kalas, Arkaraz, and straight sets. I'll tell you, I think it'll be it's more likely, if you want straight sets, it's more likely to be Djokovic in straight sets. I think Djokovic is going to win. President Biden's about to address the nation. Let's see. See if I can find it. Oh, here.
Thanks for telling folks. I've been thoroughly briefed by all the agencies in the federal government as to the situation based on what we know now. I have tried to get a hold of Donald. He's with his doctors. He's doing well. I plan on talking to them shortly, I hope, when I get back to the telephone. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And so I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have been engaged in making sure that people who, and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if we don't. If I'm not able to do, if it's not convenient for you all. The bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. Everybody must condemn it. Everybody. Keep you informed, and if I'm able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well. So far, it appears he's doing well, number one. Number two, that there's thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience. We have some reports, but not final reports. And every agency in the federal government, I'm going back to my phone to speak with the federal agencies that are being put together again to give me an updated briefing. Has anything happened? They learned any more in the last couple hours. So thank you very much, and I hope I get to speak to them tonight, and I'll get back to you if I do. Okay?
Mr. President, do you think there was an assassination attempt?
I don't know enough. I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make any more comments. Thank you.
Are you worried about your own safety? With the security failing with the president?
Angel from God to eradicate corruption. I don't know Russell J. Gould. I might, but it's not ringing a bell. I just played it. I guess that was a tape. Sorry, I should have played it while he was speaking. Read that out. It's not very kind. DJT is probably, that's interesting, Frank, that you mentioned that, because DJT could be, it's very interesting. That's thinking. My older sister and I are going to go see who did I see? don't know. I don't know, Mark, who you're saying I saw. Twitter is showing him dead. Well, let me see if I can find that, David. I didn't look on Twitter, but maybe it's there. There's, I think that particular shot is the one that'll change the election, that photographic shot. But that looks like it's his ear, doesn't it? Not above his ear. That looks like his ear. Look how close that is. This guy makes the point I was making. Photo captured the bullet that hit Trump. If he hadn't turned his head just before, he'd likely be a goner. That's what I think. He just turned his head. All right, here's what Donald says, the Donald. I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed, and also to the family of another person who was badly injured. It is incredible that such an act can take place in our country. Nothing is known at this time about the shooter, who is now dead. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong in that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. Much bleeding took place, so I realized then what was happening. God bless America. That's from Donald Trump. I'm not going to pick on Biden tonight, but he probably was.
He won anyway. They impeached him twice on ridiculous pretenses. They fabricated a lot about what happened on January 6th in order to impeach him again. It didn't work. He came back. Then they indicted him. It didn't work. He became more popular. Then they indicted him 3 more times. And every single time his popularity rose. So if you begin with criticism, then you go to protest, then you go to impeachment, now you go to indictment, and none of them work. What's next? I mean, graph it out, man. We're speeding toward assassination, obviously, and no one will say that, but I don't know how you can reach that conclusion. You know what I mean? Like, they have decided, permanent Washington, both parties have decided that there's something about Trump that's so threatening to them, they just can't have it.
Someone who was here, you weren't inside the event, but you were just outside. Tell us what you thought. So we had a party here on May. You can see behind us the Brinkles Parliament Greenhouse here. We had a party, and we all decided, hey, when we hear Trump up there, we're going to walk up through the field, stand by the trees out there under the shade, and listen to the rally. Right? We couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes. I'm speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea. But we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy throwing up the roof. And he had a rifle. Right. You can clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. Police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, this guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And
So we just listened to that guy. Mark, I agree with you. He just turned his head just in time. First one ticked his ear side of the end. Yeah, it's interesting, Matt. A lot of the bullets might have been from the Secret Service. The sound of the shots might have been from the Secret Service. Yeah, it looks like his ear. Well, you do wonder about that, don't you? It seems that's one of those things that it almost feels like, I mean, at a minimum, it was serendipity. Ah, that ear. I don't like blood. I could never be a doctor. Yeah, he is a fighter. All right, so let me go. I'll look and see what videos are on X. Elon Musk said something. Oh, here. They're dragging somebody out. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? They're dragging somebody out?
To me, as you're trying to figure out if you're okay, what's going on, was he shot, was he wounded? Then we heard him on the microphone, Shannon, saying, let me grab my shoes as they tried to take him off. So we're just trying to figure out what happened. To me, as
Maybe I was hard on that Secret Service agent because he wanted that space. All right, here's a picture. There's a picture of the guy.
I think they hit him, but the guy is.
How did that guy get to crawl up that roof?
Lá em cima, né? Aqui, ó. You can see the guy down.
Hard to believe that they didn't see that.
What's that? Tá vendo? Lá em cima, né? Aqui, ó.
I thought it was firecrackers to begin with. Somebody over there was screaming, he's been shot, he's been shot. So I made my way over. I said, I'm an emergency department physician. Let me help you. The guy had spun around and was jammed between the benches. He had a headshot here. There was lots of blood, and he had brain matter there. And so I got him. There's a helicopter coming in to get him. I got people there really helpful. I got.
Was there only one person shot that you saw?
Then I did CPR, did chest compressions as well as a brief one.
one person.
I was on one.
You guys need to evacuate everybody.
What did you see, sir?
I heard the shots.
No, what a puppy. What a puppy. What a puppy. What a puppy dog. What a puppy dog. Huh. I'm looking for more. I think I'll go back to reading news instead of looking on Twitter. Trump says he was shot in the right ear in statement from hospital. Much bleeding took place. Trump shooter is killed after rally bloodbath. I already read that one. Trump is shot in the side of the head in Donald Trump Jr. says his father is in great spirits in hospital and under observation. All right, all right, all right is going to run for office. All right, all right, all right. In Texas. President Trump also shot in the chest. This is not yet confirmed, but multiple reports coming in now that President Trump was also hit with a second shot in the chest, and a bulletproof vest saved his life. Oof. Incredible story. He also reportedly just started wearing the bulletproof vest recently. Again, unconfirmed. And the photos may be fake, but they appear legitimate. Here, I'll show it to you. Here's the picture. Is it possible? That might be what happened. Trump just started wearing a bulletproof vest as advised by a security detail. It saved his life. He took a shot to the chest. So, but somebody in here says you're the only one reporting it. So it may not be true. It may not be true. It's become clear that the shots came from a rooftop outside the rally. The body was being carried away from the scene. Was a victim. New angle shows Trump was possibly hit in his vest. The bullet struck the teleprompter. The glass cut Trump's ear. Ah, he was also shot in the chest. His bulletproof vest saved him. The teleprompter hit is not confirmed and may not be accurate. So we don't know. Everybody's guessing. Elon Musk released a statement. The head of the Secret Service and the leader of this security detail should resign. Folks, this was a massive Secret Service failure to the point where it is almost inexplicable. Compromised or complicit. Aren't you getting sick of hearing that? That's like our regulatory system. And now Elon Musk has also joined in, calling for the resignation of the head of the Secret Service and the leader of the security detail. They failed to cover the roof of the building next door. How could this ever happen? Secret Service compromised? Gary Gensler compromised? Complicit? Gary Gensler complicit? See, we still believe in a system that isn't there anymore. Eyewitness informed police and Secret Service about man on a roof with a rifle. They blew it off and ignored him. This is absolutely disgusting. The cops and Secret Service agents who ignored him should have their badges taken away. Source, this is from Nick Sotar. A source familiar with Trump's Secret Service detail tells the Federalist they've been repeatedly asked for beefed up protection and resources for weeks, but Biden failed to act. Let's go to the Federalist and see what they're saying. Trump wounded after gunshots ring out at PA rally. Defiantly pumps fist after apparent assassination attempt. All right, let me see if there's any update from Candace.
You gonna play this creeps game?
It'll get us more breathing space.
So might get somebody killed. Could you let me meet with son of a bitch?
None of that. You don't know what a real bloodbath. I agree with the chief. We'll do it this way, all right? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Come on, Calvin, let's go. Callahan.
Sir?
I don't want any more trouble like you had last year in the Fillmore district. Understand? That's my policy.
Yeah. Well, when the adult male is chasing a female with intent to commit rape, I shoot the bastard. That's my policy.
Intent? How did you establish that?
Well, a naked man is chasing a woman through an alley with a butcher knife and a heart. I figure he isn't out collecting red crops.
I think he's got a point.
And then we saw Trump supporters start to file out one by one. Those crowds are very packed. And so many times you're not able to get cell phone reception because there's just so many people there. So this area right here started becoming a gathering place for a lot of Trump supporters, a place where they were calling their families, letting them know that they were okay, a place afterwards where people were checking on each other, trying to make sure that people were okay. And I want to bring in right now one person who was inside of this rally. Sir, you were inside.
Yes.
Where were you seated and what did you hear?
We're seated right in the front there, a little bit to the left, about 6-7 rows back.
I don't know if you guys have seen this, but just now, about 20 minutes ago, they tried to kill Donald Trump. Here's the footage. Look, guys, if you had any doubts whatsoever that deep state hates Trump, that this is the man that can change our nation, then forget it. It's obvious now. They're trying to kill him. JFK, Reagan, Martin Luther King Jr. These are the people they try to kill. They don't kill people who aren't a threat to them. This is proof. And if you ever thought Trump was a problem, deep state, whatever, this proves you wrong. This is on now. We have to win this election or we lose our nation. God bless you guys. I don't know if you guys have seen this.
That was Ace.
And we were just standing up, listening to
That was Ace.
Trump talk there. And we just heard like a bullet. And you just seen him like swipe his ear there, and then the next thing you know, you heard.
Office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. Look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened. Ready? Move! 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 You ready? Get my shoes. Let me get my shoes. I got you, sir. I got you. Let me get my shoes. Hold on. So we gotta move to the left. Watch out.
Honestly, it's so unbelievable. This is
I tell you, it's something. It really is something. Brian, I think it's good to have your passport, but maybe you need to also look into having a second passport, believe it or not. Trump didn't know the shooter was down. Yeah, I did hear that. Yeah, I see a good, courageous man too. I heard him say the shooter is down, but I agree. Maybe it made sense to be on top of him. And I don't know what this was about his shoes. He must have been wearing loafers or something. They acted like it was just one shooter right away, almost like they knew, almost like it was set up. I used to see Trump in Midtown. Wow, really? Really? That's pretty cool. I think I saw him once at his casino, but I don't know if I'm just making up that memory, but I think I was there with a friend. I think we were there together a long, long time ago at Trump Casino. Just saw him walk through. Must watch, people. Educate yourself. Last flag standing. All right, I'll remember that. Yay, Susan! Yay, you have your next bridge certificate. That's very important. Very important. I congratulate you. Yeah, the press would be talking about gun control. Trump rally spectator dead. Another in serious condition. Trump shooter dead, like Violet just said. No, Alina. Alina just said, Trump shooter is believed to be dead. Reports are circulating that this is the shooter. Per the Butler Police Department, the Trump shooter has been arrested at the scene. I thought he was shot, and has been identified as Mark Violets, an Antifa member. And you're right, Alina, you're right. It says he uploaded a video on YouTube claiming justice is coming. Maybe that's what happened. There's an echo. Yeah. I don't know how to fix the echo. I don't know how to fix it. Susan, that's great that you have your certificate. It really is. The more I watch what's going on, the more skeptical I become that there'll ever be a significant settlement, at least in our, next time frame of our lifetimes for MMTLP. So I'm so happy you got Nexbridge. It's funny, Matt. Yeah, Ryan, I agree. It's funny. I thought I had reached the end of my comments, and now it's showing that I'm way behind. So sorry, everybody. My technology is, 2009. Might as well be 1975. Pump up the volume. Pump up the volume. Fox Noise. All right, let me see what's on Fox Noise.
It's got to change.
Well, they're not changing.
There's Paulina Luna.
Look, they do what they do. I've noticed their coverage tonight seems to be.
Oh, no, it's Ricky
a little bit
Lake.
off and weird, and the headlines from CNN saying it was interrupted by the Secret Service. They will try to minimize this. I don't see them changing. They haven't changed.
Yeah, they will be revealed.
Well,
We're watching right now the decimation and the implosion of the fake news media. But you know what? I'm just happy tonight that President Trump's okay. I mean, when you stop and realize we came within possibly a millimeter or two of possibly losing President Trump, and I'm shaken by that. I'm greatly shaken by that, and I think America is too. We got very lucky tonight. We need to make sure his security is increased. And to think there were like 6 or 9 members of Congress that voted to get rid of his Secret Service.
Sorry, I tried to switch it.
Syndrome. And even right now, there's some of the comments I've been reading on X, shitter, as it's called, and the other social media, where they're saying, damn, the guy that shot him missed. Oh, how bad a shooter get, they're upset that they didn't kill Trump. But the shooter did kill some other people. His shots missed. We still don't know what caliber. From what I heard, it sounded to me that it was a low caliber 22, long rifle 22, Magnum perhaps. But it could have been something bigger from an AR platform. Depends on the distance. The shooter was outside.
This is Larry Johnson.
So that, because this is summertime, they're doing a pretty thorough screening of people getting into the event, which means, people are wearing shorts and, the beach t-shirts, with the straps. They call them wife beater shirts. So, people they're not dressed with long pants and heavy coats that you can hide a gun. So it was unlikely that it was in the venue. And it turns out, I was correct on that. It was outside. I don't know the distance. The distance is important. If he was on a building that was, say, 200 yards from where Trump was, firing a long rifle, the 22 long rifle, that's about the maximum distance for that round. Think of this as like a rocket ship that rocket takes off. It's got all that fuel pushing it forward, but as the fuel runs out, gravity takes over and slows the rocket down. And so its ability to accelerate stops and it starts decelerating. Same thing happens with the bullet. When you fire a cartridge, it expels the bullet from the shell casing, and that bullet travels downrange, and it's affected by a number of things. It doesn't travel flat and level because the earth is round. And even over a short distance, the bullet is going to travel in an arc. That's why when you have a rifle and you're trying to zero it in to make sure it shoots accurately, you do it at different yards, say 25 yards or 50 yards, to determine if the rifle, the size of the caliber you're shooting. So whoever was shooting this had to deal with the distance traveled, as well as the wind that's blowing, as well as temperature. It's very hot, so the heat can create some waves, which can also distort your vision.
I think you're probably right.
And then you've got the shooter themselves. Anybody that tries to go out and sit down and hold something perfectly still, you're still going to get movement, little movement. It's called the natural arc of movement. Everybody has it. You get it from breathing, the fact the blood courses through your veins.
That is interesting, Mark.
And that's not a big deal if you're firing a gun at, say, 3 yards, 5 yards. It's not going to move that much. But when you're firing at 150, 200, 250 yards, all of a sudden that bullet moves a lot. And so when I saw, I heard pop, 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 there may have been more. I thought I heard like 4 shots. Trump was turning to his right, looking almost at like a 90 degree, 70 degree.
Yeah, I just saw that too.
The shots came from that direction. And the shot grazed his
if he had been
right
like
ear.
this, it would
May
have
hit his ear, may have hit him in the side of the head. But you tell when it hit, it was more like getting stung by a bee as opposed to getting hit with a punch. Because if you get hit full force, let's say with a 5.56 round, it's gonna hit, and you're gonna react in a much more visible way of being hit, like you've been punched or something. In particular, a headshot, sometimes the heads explode. Thank God that didn't happen here. But I don't want to minimize that these were somehow not lethal rounds, because apparently one of the rounds that missed Trump, so they're firing, if Trump is facing north and there's that crowd that's behind him to the south, this person was shooting from east to west. And so it was going in, across the stage. And one of the bullets that missed apparently hit somebody who was sitting behind Trump, sitting off to the side, watching. They were struck and killed. At least one other person was wounded as well. Fortunately, they did immediately locate the shooter once he started, and he was taken out, shot and killed him. We'll find out who he is in the coming hours.
Larry, I remember when there was an election here in Brazil, we had Bolsonaro running, and when he came to our state.
I just got asked that by a a person with whom I've corresponded occasionally from TASS in Moscow. And he asked me if I would make a statement on it. I made a statement on it. And my statement essentially said the NATO insanity, the Washington insanity continues.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Well, the two guys, there was two guys I saw on a building just to the right of my right, should have been the president's left, however. But they set up early before the president came out, and they had their guns on tripods from the get-go. And when the shots started going off, of course, everybody started screaming, "Get down, get down, get down." Everybody got down. And I was looking around. I said, I thought this was going to be I thought it was some kind of mass shooting. There's no question. It was a high-powered rifle. It wasn't fireworks or anything else. I mean, I walked.
We hear it was an AR. It might have been an AR. Hey, Gino, do me a favor. Stand by. We have Congressman Byron Donalds on the phone.
Oh,
with
good.
us.
Good.
Congressman Donalds.
Byron Donalds.
Can you hear? Hey,
Oh, there he
good
is.
to see you, pal. Sir, sorry.
How you doing?
Poor pal.
Good. What are you thinking, and what have you heard?
Well, first of all, I'm really just grateful that President Trump is okay. It's really sad to know that there was somebody who attended the rally that lost their life. Look, let's just cut straight to it. This is where, this rhetoric that has come from the political left is incredibly dangerous. All this talk about threats to democracy and all this, what I'll call political foolishness, this has led to this shooting. And so what we got to do is a lot of this rhetoric, that stuff's got to tone down. You got to stand united as one country. And I think President Trump even demonstrated that, when he was being escorted out by Secret Service, his fist raised high in the air. That wasn't about just defiance. That was about making sure that the country is united going forward. This kind of violence should never be tolerated.
And Congressman, we also did receive word confirmation that the Biden campaign is suspending political communications, and they are reaching out to local markets to pull down campaign ads. Is that enough?
Good start. That's a good start. But, when we start getting into these campaigns and talking about the issues facing our country, when you start to somebody's a threat to our very way of life, that's the kind of stuff that is very, very dangerous. We can disagree on politics. Obviously, we do with the Democrats and with the left. You can disagree on how you want to go through these issues. But when you start trying to label your political opponent as a very threat to the fabric of America, that is dangerous rhetoric. And so, like I said, we are focused on a unifying message, bring all of the American people together to make our country great again, even though we might have some very stark differences with the Democrat Party.
Congressman, after how do you do that? They're going to blame. We know the truth, quite frankly, because the rhetoric that the threat to democracy. Donald Trump is opposed to the policies of Joe Biden, right? They're opposed to Donald Trump as a person, that he himself represents this horrible threat. And I think that's dangerous. And again, we're looking at a picture of the immediate aftermath. Law enforcement, I guess, kind of arriving at the sniper's nest and the dead sniper, who we still know basically nothing about. Wow, it's amazing. We have so much imagery from what happened and still coming in. Congressman Donalds, practically speaking, what can be done? How will that happen if it does happen?
Well, I think it starts with all elected officials. Like I said, the first thing is we got to be focused on the issues facing this country and not trying to paint, your rival as if they're the enemy to freedom. That's not what we got to be doing. Number two, it's about the American people. They need to get out and vote and make sure their voices are heard. It's very important that Americans really understand their politics and not just listen to rhetoric, because that helps to really clear out a lot of the noise that we get today in media and in messaging. And at the end of the day, I think that where President Trump has been this entire campaign, being focused on the American people, being focused on making our country great again, those are the talking points, and that is the political rhetoric that we need.
Congressman, we had Carrie Lake joined us, and she was very frustrated. Again, we've been talking about this, about the vitriol specifically constantly shared by liberal media, calling the former president a fascist and saying he's going to get rid of the Constitution if reelected. We also had Robert F. Kennedy Jr. here with us, who said he hopes something positive can come out of this, where Americans in general might be able to pause before they say something, or in this case, do something hateful. Do you think that is a possibility?
Listen to this. Listen to this. There's a report that Secret Service agents were standing on a rooftop near to where the shooter was reportedly stationed. How did they miss this? President Trump was shot at during a rally in Pennsylvania on Saturday. Trump grabbed his neck after he was hit and pumped his fist as the Secret Service helped him walk away to the ambulance. New photos have emerged allegedly showing the deceased shooter on a rooftop adjacent to the president's podium. Adjacent. He was reportedly situated to the right side of Trump when he shot 8 to 10 bullets toward the rally. Things do not add up, however, as video footage from the rally clearly shows what looks like 2 Secret Service agents standing watch on the rooftop directly adjacent to where the shooter allegedly fired from. I think we need Oliver Stone. The live video feed broadcast by RSBN shows Trump being introduced at the rally at 6:04 p.m. EST. 2 agents can be clearly seen standing on the rooftop behind him on the same side he was shot. Furthermore, their rooftop was higher elevation than the shooter's. How did they miss him? Wow. Wow. There's the picture of where the Secret Service was standing. Oliver Alexander says, I cannot understand how the Secret Service snipers on this roof, just 430 feet from the shooter, did not notice him climbing into position. The Secret Service rooftop is slightly more elevated than the shooter's rooftop. They should have at least been able to see something. See, the green is where they were and the red is where the shooter was. I can't imagine there wasn't somebody standing over there. Before the shooting took place, concerned rally goers alerted authorities to a man crawling on the rooftop. However, they were apparently ignored. Secret Service likely had this information. One of the men saw the shooter explain. They likely had the information, one of the men explained. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Leftists lament failed Trump assassination. Quote, how do you miss? trends on X. Others claim it was all staged. Butler County District Attorney confirms 2 dead, including shooter, after Trump assassination attempt. And I'm quoting this. Biden said on July 8th, quote, let's read the whole story. A quote from Joe Biden from 5 days before the assassination attempt on President Donald Trump has come back to haunt him. On July 8th, Biden said, quote, I have one job, and that's to beat Trump. I'm absolutely certain I'm the best person to be able to do that, unquote. Biden continued, quote, so we're done talking about the debate. It's time to put Trump in a bullseye, unquote. I don't think he meant, I think he's talking, well, anyway. All right, so whoever was telling me which bullet and gun it was, President Trump was shot on Saturday at his rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. I know you said that Larry Johnson sounds like an idiot, but firearms experts said the shooter was likely outside the venue. The shooter was on the right side of Trump. It was like he likely used a .22 long rifle, probably a semi-automatic. The .22 long rifle is effective up to 200 yards. It appears no one else was shot on the stage. Ivanka Trump breaks her silence. She probably just found out.
Chris, what's your thoughts this morning?
That's Australia.
This is the sort of event we've been dreading. And not only if you're a Trump supporter, just anybody who follows the American politics has seen how toxic and divisive it has become. And we've all dreaded the resurrection, if you like, of political violence in the US. It's been a threat in their history for centuries, of course. And we all really dreaded this. It's shocking to see it unfold this morning. You know, I think Trump is a divisive figure. I'm not as enamored with him as you are, although I think the world was a stronger, safer place when Trump was president than Joe Biden. But as you've been discussing this morning, the Democrats and all the way to the White House, President Joe Biden himself, they've been demonizing Trump day after day after day. And this has consequences. And I just saw the statement there, the live statement that you went to in the US with Joe Biden offering his comments. And I think what's critical here is what Joe Biden did not say. I thought that was a disgusting statement from the president at such a time of chaos and concern for American democracy. He said nothing to call off the dogs, if you like, off Donald Trump, nothing to say that we've got to stop being this divisive and not demonize this man. He gave it very, very short shrift, in my view. He should have been absolutely telling people that this is a fair political contest between two political parties who are legitimate and are legitimate contenders. He should have denounced the way that Donald Trump has been demonized by so much of the media and so much of the political debate. But he can't do that because he's been the leading denouncer, if you like. So, look, this is really, really problematic, of course, for the American political system, for the Democrats. And you only had to look at the way that Donald Trump responded, and we're seeing some of those pictures now. Of course, Donald Trump wanted to appear defiant and strong, and good on him for doing that. But let's remember, too, he wanted to signal to his supporters there and to supporters around the country that he was okay, that he was going to walk off the stage. But let's mention those Secret Service agents there, men and women. What they're doing there, and most viewers, I think, would understand this, they are putting themselves between the target and the shooter. They are making sure that if there are subsequent volleys of gunfire, that they will be hit rather than Donald Trump. Now, these Secret Service agents, they'll be registered Democrats, registered Republicans. We don't know their politics, but their job is to protect the candidate, in this case, the former President Donald Trump. And it's just, I think, incredible to see them putting themselves in harm's way to make sure that it.
And I really am at a loss for words right now. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless President Trump. God bless America. I'm really at a loss for words. This is the Associated Press. I'm sure that you've heard everything that I've heard. But I'm doing this with a heavy heart. I thank goodness and thank God Trump is alive. And I really am at a loss for words right now. As I always say, hit subscribe to this channel, to my super chat. Thank you. But honestly, all that stuff, I really just don't know what to say other than thank God Trump is alive. The Associated Press is acknowledging this is being investigated as an attempt on his life. It saddens me that 1 or 2 attendees have lost their lives. It does not sadden me that the culprit has been addressed, so to speak, taken care of, so to speak. I have no clue the motivation of the culprit, the suspect. I have no clue who the person is at this point. And let's go ahead and we can watch. Let's watch the footage. First, Newsmax was on point. Newsmax was, I'll show you more Fox News, but Newsmax was right there, that moment, giving information. And, you know, media in general was trying now to make this about a heated environment in 2024. I think it was one journalist was saying that, well, you know, we never had to really address these types of issues. This was the first attempt on a president's life since Reagan. And you look at the rhetoric from MSNBC and CNN and the New York Times, the Washington Post, Robert De Niro, Kimmel, Colbert, every single day they're comparing Trump to the 1930s and 1940s German leader. Every single day they're saying he's a menace to democracy. Every single second of every single day for 7 to 8 years now, they have been telling you that Trump is the embodiment of evil. Simply because they lost in 2016. Simply because they lost influence and political power. And then they say that Trump's rhetoric causes mayhem and chaos. The most mayhem and chaos comes from the side opposite of Trump, the political side exactly opposite of Trump. Billions upon billions in property damage, and they ignore that. And I agree with why people peacefully demonstrated, but you had that summer, Trump's last year in office, with billions and billions in property damage. And you see that there was an attempt on his life, you know, an obvious assassination attempt on his life. And it's just, it's unbelievable how, I mean, this is another point altogether, because there was one attendee or two attendees who might have lost their lives, but he won a landslide. And again, the landslide and everything else, the main issue is the life lost or the lives lost because of a very deranged, you know, individual. And by the way, we can get to Second Amendment control. You cannot control evil. You cannot control, no matter what you do, the intentions or the behavior of somebody who is intent on committing evil. You have to simply, that person has to simply meet a reciprocal reaction or force, which is what took place, unfortunately, after they tried to take Trump's life. And unfortunately, it's so sad and terrible that somebody lost, I believe, her life. I'm not 100% sure. But listen to this, then you'll actually see what took place in a moment.
It was your typical Trump speech. The crowd was fired up. I sat down in my seat watching the president, and then you heard the first shot. Greg, it sounded like, honestly, it didn't sound like some kind of high-powered rifle, like boom. It was like a pop. It sounded like a firecracker, the first one. And then there was more, and then there was more. And then that's when it dawned on everybody there was an assassination attempt going on, or there's some type of shooting to some degree, mass shooting on the crowd. And I was on the risers directly in front of the president, and I ducked down, everybody dove down, and then the firing stopped. And I looked up, and I didn't see President Trump. I just saw the scrum around him on stage, and I just started shouting out. I said, where is he? Where is he? Is he down? They're like, yeah, he's behind the podium. He's behind the podium. He's down. I'm thinking the worst. I'm saying we know he's okay now. Thank God he's okay. And then off to the left. So, Greg, President Trump is speaking directly to the crowd. To the right, the shot came, at least one of them, as you're saying now, there's two snipers involved in this. At least one of them was off in the risers. There's the risers behind him, you know, to the right, his right-hand side. That's where the state police, I looked over there, I saw state police converged on somebody over there, a scrum going on just as well. By that time, the shooting had stopped, but the crowd was in dismay. I mean, we just saw an assassination attempt against the president. It was kind of weird. Like some water system shot out from the two monitors that were by him. One of them, I don't know if a bullet hit it or something and hit a line or whatnot, but you know, everything stopped, and then water shot out, sprayed out from the side, and then the rest is kind of a blur, Greg. We just had the assassination attempt on Trump, but I will say this. When he got up and he fist pumped the crowd, we all fist pumped him back, including myself. We all screamed, USA, USA, we love you. Everybody was, it was happening in real time, so we didn't really know what to do, but we all fist pumped him, and they whisked him out and then put him in the SUV, and then he was gone. The scrum continued off to the side, though. Within seconds, Greg, police tape had been put up around that area. Secret Service in that area came through. They began kicking over chairs, obviously looking for weapons or whatnot. And it was all focused to that side. I did see what I thought to be blood on the bleachers to where the shots looked like they came from and where that scrum was going on. And then the crowds, you know, they got on the intercom and they said, you got to go. Everybody's got to clear out. And everybody started clearing out. And we tried to get on air as soon as we could. And we did. And that's the latest now. Everyone's been leaving, Greg, and you can see behind me. This was the row of all the Trump memorabilia. What a day. What a fun day we were having here in Western Pennsylvania, Greg. As you know, I'm from here. I grew up about an hour and 20 minutes away. And this was a great day for Western PA. The crowd was huge. I haven't seen a crowd covered a lot of Trump rallies. I haven't seen one like this. It was enormous. And to have it end like this, obviously it's awful. It's awful they tried to kill President Trump. It's just awful for the country, period. What happens next? Where do we go next? Where are things going to go? No one knows. It's a new country now. So, but that's the way it unfolded, Greg.
So again, media is desperately trying, and you will actually see the moment in a second. The media is desperately trying, ladies and gentlemen. And the only reason I say hit subscribe to this channel is just so my voice, your voice can be heard, especially on November 5th, which is almost like a birthday for the country, almost like a rebirth or vindication.
Hey everyone, Judicial Watch President Thompson here with a special update on today's awful attempted assassination on President Trump that not only led to his near death and injury, but to the death of an innocent Trump supporter there and his fans who just came out to watch a person he supports talk about politics. Just so terrible. And others evidently were injured. And so, as I say in our statement on behalf of Judicial Watch, every Judicial Watch supporter, every patriotic American is praying for President Trump, his family, his staff, the family and friends of the poor guy murdered, the poor person murdered, those injured, of course, all of the victims up there in Butler County who were traumatized by this violent attack on President Trump and his supporters. Look, the radical left was attempted to mass murder Republican congressmen, as well as Justice Kavanaugh and his family, and recently Democratic Party leaders through unhinged rhetoric, false allegations of misconduct, proposed legislation, yes, legislation, and sham prosecutions have increased the risk of assassination of President Trump, as well as violence against his supporters. And you can be assured, and every American can be assured, that Judicial Watch will initiate and has already initiated an independent investigation into the assassination attempt on President Trump. There are a lot of questions out there. How it looks like the shooter shot at him from an elevated position.
Would either of you name one positive thing that you respect in one another?
Look, I respect his children. His children are incredibly able and devoted, and I think that says a lot about Donald. I don't agree with nearly anything else he says or does, but I do respect that. And I think that is something that as a mother and a grandmother is very important to me.
Well, I consider her statement about my children to be a very nice compliment. I don't know if it was meant to be a compliment, but it is a great. I'm very proud of my children, and they've done a wonderful job, and they've been wonderful, wonderful kids. So I consider that a compliment. I will say this about Hillary: she doesn't quit, she doesn't give up. I respect that. I tell it like it is. She's a fighter. I disagree with much of what she's fighting for. I do disagree with her judgment in many cases, but she does fight hard, and she doesn't quit, and she doesn't give up, and I consider that to be a very good trait.
Would either of you name one positive?
How on earth did a shooter get into a position to be able to shoot at a presidential candidate, former president, under Secret Service protection? And there are reports that there was not sufficient Secret Service protection. Requests for more support have been denied. We'll obviously be investigating that. And, let's go back to see how we got here. The left, as I said, has been demonizing President Trump, and some of that is political rhetoric, and I understand that. Both sides say outrageous things about politicians they don't like. But there's been this level of rhetoric that goes beyond the norm. And indeed, in Congress, and I've talked about this previously because I was worried something like this was going to result from it. You had the Democratic Party leadership propose a piece of legislation that would have denied Secret Service protection to President Trump if he were convicted and jailed. And as I noted at the time, it was obviously intended to get him killed if he was put in jail. And the very notion or very idea of talking about removing Secret Service protection could incite and cause assassination attempts. And I think that's a contributing factor. I do. And on top of everything else, we're in a crisis right now. And people are going to ask questions. I mean, we had this heroic effort by Secret Service agents. I mean, an act of patriotism and selflessness and heroism that we all witnessed today. Those agents rushing in to surround President Trump and protect him with their bodies. Wonderful individual acts of heroism. Secret Service agent had to take the awful step of not the
Enough. All right. President Trump officially released from the hospital. And he heads to what's UFC? I don't know what UFC is. I don't know what it is. United Football Club. There's also rumors President Trump is on his way to a UFC event this evening. The man just got shot and he's attending UFC tonight. That'd be amazing if he does that. All right. I think we'll let DBMM not be quoted. I'm going to sign off for everybody. I came on just to, I don't know what, talk about this nightmare. And I'm planning on doing a video on finger motion. I was going to try to do it tonight, believe it or not. But I've been thinking about it. This contract that they got, that they announced, could potentially be truly massive, and the stock is cheap. So I'll do that video. What else? I'm glad that some of you got your shares of NextBridge, but hopefully the president will be okay and our country will be okay after this. I really think it's time to stop demonizing Trump. And it's time to have a free press. It's time to have legitimate voting in our country. And, it's time to clean up the regulators and the corruption of Congress by big money. I don't know how you do it unless you have a vigorous, free, and honest press, and you have a legitimate voting method. Yeah, let's leave it. Let's leave it with Donald Beaulieu's prayer. God bless President Trump. And prayers for the person who was killed and his family. And I think we'll leave it there. So thanks for tuning in. It helped me out a little bit. And look, we live in a democracy, so people can have different views than I do. But at least let's see if we can agree on the 10 amendments. Jason Beck, you're a young man. You're a young man, Jason. I was a young whippersnapper. It was horrifying to me that Jimmy Carter had lost to Ronald Reagan. Well, there you go again. I am not going to hold Oh, that was against Mondale. It's when he said, "Well, there you go again." Poor Jimmy Carter. I still think the country would have been better off if Jimmy Carter had won, but he didn't. So we got Ronald Reagan, and they called the Hilton Hotel where sorry for yawning. I no longer live over there, but I used to go to the Hilton Hotel all the time. They started calling it the Hinckley Hotel. And I used the pool, and I would eat there, go to, meet people. So it's very close, but I wasn't living there when it happened. No, it doesn't feel the same way to me as that did, because he was the president. And I remember vividly, I'm the president, I'm in charge, Alexander Haig. I'm in charge here at the White House, he said. He wasn't in line. He was Reagan's chief of staff, if I remember correctly. He wasn't even in the presidential line, but he comes out and says that. I will say what is similar. Apparently, Reagan said, I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, but apparently he said when he saw his wife, he said, "Nancy, I forgot to duck." I don't know if it's true or not, but he showed resilience. He showed a fight that I think Donald Trump did today as well. But the other thing that was different, Reagan was very close to dying. That bullet went into him, and they played it down. They tried to make it less severe than it was, but it was bad. And he was president. That's the only difference. So it doesn't feel similar. This feels more like when Squeaky Fromm did a similar thing to President Gerald Ford. The same kind of flurry of information, and then he was healthy. But what I think is going to change this time, back when Ronald Reagan was attacked, the Washington Post, the New York Times were real newspapers, and they reported it. Even though Reagan was a Republican, they reported everything fairly and extensively. Back then, you also had the Baltimore Sun, Jack Germond. You had Wall Street Journal was different, but it was good. You had New York Post. New York Daily News was a better newspaper than it is now. Now it's hardly worth reading, just like all of them are hardly worth reading, at least for politics. Sports maybe is okay in the Washington Post. But yeah, it was very much different than it is now. You could already see people dividing in their political camps on this, and that's a shame. That's a shame. So that's something different this time. What I think is going to be different this time about it is people are just sick of this status quo, which is crap. So I can't believe you were 2 years old. I could have been your father. Ook. All right, so I'm going to sign off. Thank you for tuning in. Tomorrow, 8 a.m., Djokovic against Alcaraz. And I know everyone who hates Trump is going to be for Alcaraz. And few of you, maybe that like Trump, might be for Alcaraz, but I just know it'll be the same people that are always against my views will be for Alcaraz. I'm for Djokovic. 3 sets, Djokovic. Thank you, Dad. All right. All right. Probably could have been your father. Oh, Lordy. Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. So let's say a prayer for Donald Trump and his family, for the people who were killed, and for our country, and for sanity to return, cooler minds. And please, let's pray for worldwide peace. If people are still supporting the media that we should be going to war against Russia, please pray that this insanity stops. If you want to just win some sort of point that you saw on CNN and you think it's worth World War III, I pray you see the light. I pray you see the light. So anyway, we'll say goodnight with that. And maybe, I doubt I'll come live tomorrow, but I might do a video and we'll see you Monday. So good luck to Djokovic. Prayers to Donald Trump, and peace be with each of you.